Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 It's April 20th, 2020, and we're studying from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, which Prabhupada entitles the Summum Bonum. We're on chapter 12, entitled The Killing of the Demon Aghasura, and so translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Right now we're in text 35, like we've done for other evening programs. I read a few verses and have some discussion together. So text 35, whoever wants can read along or chant along with the Sanskrit. Adbhuta stocha suvadya gitika jayadi naiko savamangalasvanam shushvasvadam nond yaja agato chira drishtva mahisha sujagama vismayam. Translation. When Lord Brahma heard the wonderful ceremony going on near his planet, accompanied by music and songs and sounds of Jai, Jai, he immediately came down to see the function. Upon seeing so much glorification of Lord Krishna, he was completely astonished. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Here the word anti means near, indicating that even in the higher planetary systems near Brahmaloka, like Maharloka, Janaloka, and Tapaloka, the festival of glorification of Lord Krishna was going on. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Utamashloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Ganatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamubhakada Mayam Darati Sva Parantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapara Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pradan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Kriye Vanchakalpate Yudhyashta Krita Sindhu Devacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. So in previous verses we're hearing, as Ramachandra, you entitled the videos Into the Mouth of Aghasura. And then Lord Krishna, in his special way, he destroys the demon, this Aghasura, and the demon is very fortunate. He gets not just Sayujya, which is impersonal liberation, he gets Sarupya Mukti, which is he's actually in the Vaikuntha planets enjoying with God, with Vishnu. So he got really purified by the touch of Krishna. And then there's all sorts of celebration and kettle drums and dancing girls and Gandharvas singing, all sorts of celebrations. So then Lord Brahma he's saying, what's going on here there on earth in Vrindavan? All this glorification of Krishna. So text 36. Rajana jagaram charma shushkam vrindavane bhutam rajal kasam bahutitam bahuva kridakaram. O King Parikshit, when the python-shaped body of Aghasura dried up into merely a big skin, it became a wonderful place for the inhabitants of Vrindavan to visit, and it remained so for a long, long time. So it became like a playground. That's transformation. Text 37. Etat karma rajam karma harer atma himokshanam mityo purganda kebala trishpo churvis mita braje. This incident of Krishna saving himself and his associates from death and of giving deliverance to Aghasura, who had assumed the form of a python, took place when Krishna was 5 years old. It was disclosed in Brajabhumi after 1 year, as if it had taken place on that very day. And so, cowherd boys of Krishna had their play and fun and demons and stuff. And then it's described here by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. So, yes. So the other residents of Rajabhumi, like the gopis and the parents of Krishna, the other residents of Vrindavan, they heard about it a year later, but they heard about it as if it took place on the same day that they heard about it. So this is a mystery unfolded. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word mokshana means liberation. For the associates of Krishna and for Krishna himself, there is no question about liberation. They are already liberated, being in the spiritual world. In the material world, there are birth, death, old age, and disease. But in the spiritual world, there are no such things, because everything is eternal. As for the python, however, by the association of Krishna and his devotees, Aghasura also achieved the same facility of eternal life. Therefore, as indicated here by the word Atmahi Mokshanam, if the python Aghasura could receive eternal association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is to be said of those who are already associates of the Lord? Sakam Bijaru Kritabunya Bunja. Here is proof that God is good for everyone. Even when he kills someone, the one who is killed attains liberation. What then is to be said of those who are already in the association of the Lord? So Prabhupada's making the point that even this demon, by association with Krishna, became a pure-hearted devotee and lover of Krishna. And Prabhupada's referencing a verse stated by Shukadeva Goswami about 16 verses back. Itam satam brahmasukana puja asim gatanam paradaya gatena mayashutanam naradara kena sakam bijaru krita punya punja. Shukadeva Goswami, he's marveling, he's in ecstasy at the good fortune of these cowherd boys. That they're, well, in one sense, like the whole point of this bhakti yoga is to realize ourselves as subordinate to God, as servants of Krishna, and to stop this impossible project of trying to be fulfilled and happy and joyful by trying to lord it over material nature, and to realize, yes, we're eternal servants. And what Jivarasru Bahoy Krishnera Nichidas Krishnera Tadasta Shakti Beta Beta Prakash, that the nature of the Jiva soul is as an eternal servant of Krishna, and we're made of the same stuff as Krishna: eternity, bliss, knowledge, and eternal form and spiritual personality. And at the same time, we're eternally separate, and we bridge that separation through loving devotional service. That's our constitutional position. And to transfer our attachment and identification falsely from Jiva Bhuta, from the body, from Brahma to Brahma Buddha, to realizing ourselves as spirit and where the Jiva spirit's home. Okay, so to be that we're servants, we're subordinate. But these cowherd boys, they were like they were acting as equals with Krishna. Some of them were even acting as superiors, and they were wrestling with Krishna. And they were riding on his back and things like that. So Shikadeva Goswami is in ecstasy, meditating in Smaranam on the cowherd boys. That this is the ultimate goal. This is beyond the goals of the yogis and the philosophers. This is the ultimate goal, to have such intimate relationship with Krishna, where we forget the servant relationship and we're relating with Krishna as friend or son, or like that. Okay. Of course, it all starts with hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in a mood of, oh my Lord, oh my dear Lord Krishna, please engage me in your service. That's where it starts. We're cautioned against trying to artificially jump to thinking that we are like the residents of Vrindavan. No, we want to cultivate that service mood. And then as far as that Vrindavan relationship with Krishna, that gets revealed in the heart of the devotee, as the devotee becomes fully free of all anarthas, all unwanted things. So, okay. All right, so we have some mystical time warp going on here, and that really leads to the next, to the last verses of this chapter and the next two chapters, really. Let's go on and read text 38. Naita vichitra manujar bhamaina paravarannam paramasya vedasa agopiya spashana dotapataka prapadmasamyam svasatam sudurlabham. Dr. Keith, would you like to read the translation and purport?
Yeah. Krishna is the cause of all causes, the causes and effects of the material world, both higher and lower, are all created by the Supreme Lord, the original controller. When Krishna appeared as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, he did so by his causeless mercy. Consequently, for him to exhibit his unlimited potencies was not at all wonderful. Indeed, he showed such great mercy even that even Aghasura, the most sinful miscreant, was elevated to being one of his associates and achieving Swarupya Mukti, which is actually impossible for materially contaminated persons to attain. Purport. The word Maya is also used in connection with love. Out of Maya, love, a father has affection for his child. Therefore, the word Nayina indicates that Krishna, out of love, appeared as the son of Nanda Maharaj and assumed the form of a human child. Manu Jarba. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the creator of cause and effect, and he is the supreme controller. Nothing is impossible for him. Therefore, that he enabled even a living being like Aghasura to attain the salvation of Sarupya Mukti was not at all wonderful for Krishna. Krishna took pleasure in entering the mouth of Aghasura in a sporting spirit also with his associates. Therefore, when Aghasura, by that sporting association, as maintained in the spiritual world, was purified of all contamination, he attained Sarupya Mukti and Vimukti by the grace of Krishna. For Krishna, this was not at all wonderful.
Hare Krishna. Text 39. Sakri Yaranga Pratimantara Hita Mano Mai Bhagavatim Dadaudatim Sa eva nityatma sukhanubhujyavi yudastamayon targato dikim punam. Ramachandra Prabhu, would you like to read?
If even only once, or even by force, one brings the form of the Supreme Lord, I'll just read louder.
Okay.
If even only once, or even by force, one brings the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into one's mind, one can attain the supreme salvation by the mercy of Krishna, as did Aghasura. What then is to say and to be said of those whose hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters when he appears as an incarnation, or those who always think of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the source of transcendental bliss for all living entities, and by whom all illusion is completely removed. Report by Srila Prabhupada. The process of receiving the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described here. Yat Padapam Pajat Param Shravidam Sabhaktaya. 4th Canto, 22nd chapter, 39th verse. Simply by thinking of Krishna, one can attain him very easily. Krishna is also described as having his lotus feet always within the hearts of his devotees. Bhagavan Bhakta Yudhishthira. In the case of Aghasura, one may argue that he was not a devotee. The answer to this is that he thought of Krishna for a moment with devotion. Bhaktyama ekagrihaya. Without devotion, one cannot think of Krishna. And conversely, whenever one thinks of Krishna, what is conversely?
And oppositely.
Whenever one thinks of Krishna, one undoubtedly has devotion. Although Aghasura's purpose was to kill Krishna, for a moment Aghasura thought of Krishna with devotion, and Krishna and his associates wanted to sport within Aghasura's mouth. Similarly, Putana wanted to kill Krishna by poisoning him, but Krishna took her as his mother because he had accepted the milk of her breast. Especially when Krishna appears as an avatar, anyone who thinks of Krishna in his different incarnations, and especially in his original form as Krishna, attains salvation. There are many instances of this, and among them is Aghasura, who attained the salvation of Sadhukya Mukti. Therefore, the process is Satatam Kirtaya Tamam Nikatascha Vidavratam, 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 14th verse. Those who are devotees always engage in glorifying Krishna. Advaitam Chutam Anandam Anantarupam. When we speak of Krishna, we refer to all his avatars, such as Krishna, Govinda, Narayan, Vishnu, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna Balaram, and Shamasundar. One who always thinks of Krishna must attain vimukti, special salvation, as the Lord's personal associate, not necessarily in Vrindavan, but at least in Vaikuntha. This is called Sarupya Mukti.
Hare
I was wondering, is it true? Like I heard somewhere, I don't know if that was from Prabhupada or not, that Lord Chaitanya, he takes us to Goloka Vrindavan.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, well, so I don't have much realizations about these things. My understanding is that a follower of Lord Chaitanya, is on the Goloka Vrindavan path. In the Brahma Samhita, actually in the purport, I think it's in the verse, Ananda Chinmaya Sarpati Bhavitabi Stabirya Eva Nijamupataya Kalabi Goroka Eva Nivasatya Kilakma Puto Govindam Bhusham Tamamatin. Bhaktisiddhanta describes that there's like a neighborhood of Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord, like kind of there's a Navadvip neighborhood. And I don't know, the Prabhupada speaks about it anywhere else, but it's there. And yeah, so Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya. So Lord Chaitanya is a combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. And so that's the Goloka path.
Well, it's on the illustration to the Bhagavatam.
Yeah,
What
it
Chaitanya is dancing there.
yeah, right. Yeah, in those original Bhagavatams, the Prabhupada has it in the artwork. So, so in one sense, like these are esoteric questions. And just by contemplating them, we get purified and we make spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada says here that it all starts, the process is Sattam Kirtyatamam Devantas Tradri Davartam. Namasantas Tramam Nitya always chanting Krishna's glories. Yeah, I'm feeling like, very enlivened by this whole pandemic lockdown thing. I mean, just in terms of the essence that, I'm experiencing increased hearing and chanting and keep Shunatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Vidyantistaya Vidumati Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in the heart of all living entities, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the heart from material desire for the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So of course, when the isolation quarantine is finished, my hope is that my hearing and chanting continues to increase, because this is it, to get that this is what life's for. Hearing and chanting about Krishna, whether it's in his Vrindavan pastimes like we're reading tonight, or whether it's Krishna Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, or in his expansion on the Sringadev with Prahlad Maharaj, or the Leela of Srila Prabhupada in the 20th century, or and in one sense, all those pastimes are different, and in one sense, they're all the same, because they're all transcendental, and they have the same effect of cleansing our heart from material contamination. And so to increase that, and the idea is to arrange our life, to be responsible, to arrange our life, to be 24 hours per day absorbed in that. And right now, I'm at like 2 minutes per day, so let's increase it to 3 minutes, whatever it is. And so, so this that's what Krishna said. This is what the true Mahatmas do. They take shelter of Krishna's internal energy through Satyatam Kirtanam, by always being engaged in kirtan in one form or another. Text 40. Shri Sutta Uvacha Itam Dvijaya Davade Vadatta Shruva Svara Tushcha Tam Vichitram Pat Pracha Bhuyo Pitareva Punyam Vaya Sakinya Nirita. Sri Sutta Goswami said, O learned saints, the childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna are very wonderful. Maharaj Parikshit, after hearing about those pastimes of Krishna, who had saved him in the womb of his mother, became steady in his mind and again inquired from Shukadev Goswami to hear about those pious activities. So here we are in the 10th canto, and Sutta Goswami's referring back to the first canto. The first canto, before Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit get into their discussion, Sutta Goswami described for the sages at Narayasharanya, the saints and sages, about the story of Maharaj Parikshit. And from appearance to disappearance. Well, his disappearance happens at the end of the Bhagavatam. From appearance till he goes to the banks of the Ganges and meets Shukadeva Goswami. So right in the womb, he was attacked by a Brahmastra, which is like a Vedic nuclear weapon. It's a Vedic nuclear weapon that's a lot more refined than a modern day nuclear weapon. And it was released by Ashvatthama. And so with the Vedic nuclear weapons, through mantra, you can pinpoint it so it doesn't destroy all sorts of cities and buildings and people you don't want it to destroy. But Ashwatthama directed at the embryo in the womb, and Krishna appeared within the womb to protect. And he appeared before. That's why it's called Parikshit. It means one who had a vision. Parikshit, one who had a vision. He had a vision of Krishna as an embryo in the womb, and Krishna protected him from the fire of the Brahmastra. So now Maharaj Parikshit, he's inquiring from Shukadev Goswami. Let's hear his question. Sri Rajo Vacha Brahman Kalantara Kritam Tat Karinam Katam Bhavet Yat Kumare Hari Kritam Jagupogantakir Baka. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, "O great sage, how could things done in the past have been described as being done at the present? Lord Sri Krishna performed this pastime of killing Aghasura during his Kumara age. How then, during his Praganda age, could the boys have described this incident as having happened recently?" So Krishna's childhood and youth, it's divided into different sections. And so this is approximate, I don't have exact, but something like till 5 years old, it's called Kumara. Kumara means, we've heard about the 4 Kumaras. It means beautiful young boy. And then like 6 to 10 is the Poganda age. And then it becomes the 11 years old, Kaishura, beautiful youth. And then after that, Yava, it's kind of like a young man. Okay. Text 42. Tadruhi me mahayogin param kotuhalam guru nunam heta darer eva maya bhavati nanyata. O greatest yogi, my spiritual master, kindly describe why this happened. I am very much curious to know about it. I think that it was nothing but another illusion due to Krishna. Purport. Krishna has many potencies. Parashya Shaktir Vividaya Vishruyate. That's from the Shvetashvatar Upanishad 6.8. The description of Aghasura was disclosed after 1 year. Some act of Krishna's potency must have been involved. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was very curious to know about this, and he requested Shukadev Goswami to explain it. Text 43. Vayam danya tamaloke guru pi kshatra bandhava vayam pibamo mohus tattvata punyam Krishna katamritam. George, would you like to read the text and purport?
Sure. O my Lord, my spiritual master, although we are the lowest of Kshatriyas, we are glorified and benefited because we have the opportunity of always hearing from you the nectar of the pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are very confidential. It is not ordinarily possible to hear such activities unless one is very, very fortunate. Parikshit Maharaj placed himself as Kshatra Bandhava, which means the lowest of the Kshatriyas. The qualities of the Kshatriya are described in Bhagavad Gita, and although the general quality of the Kshatriya is Ishvarabhava, the tendency to rule, the Kshatriya is not supposed to rule over a Brahmana. Thus, Maharaj Parikshit regretted that he had wanted to rule over the Brahmins, and had therefore been cursed. He considered himself the lowest of the Kshatriyas. Dhananishvara bhavascha kshatram karma svabhavajam. Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, verse 43. There was no doubt that Maharaj Parikshit had the good qualities of a Kshatriya, but as a devotee he presented himself with submissiveness and humility as the lowest of the Kshatriyas, remembering his act of wrapping a dead serpent around the neck of a Brahmin. A student and disciple has the right to ask the Guru about any confidential service, and it is the duty of the Guru to explain these confidential matters to his disciple. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, in this chapter, there's one more verse. Let's read that. Shri Suto Vacha Itam Sma Prishta Satu Padarayanis Tatsmari Tadanta Itakilendriya Kritrat Punarlabda Bahir Drishi Shanai Patyaha Tambhagavato Tamo Dharma. Sutta Goswami said, O Shaunaka, greatest of saints and devotees, when Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadev Goswami in this way, Shukadev Goswami, immediately remembering subject matters about Krishna within the core of his heart, externally lost contact with the actions of his senses. Thereafter, with great difficulty, he revived his external sensory perception and began to speak to Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna Katha. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Killing of the Demon Aghasura. This is a theme throughout the Bhagavatam, questions and responses. There's one book of Prabhupada called Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. Maybe some of you have read it. And it's actually a transcription of Bob Cohen asking questions to Srila Prabhupada in, I'm going to say, 1972 in Mayapur. Bob Cohen became Brahma Tirtha Das, lives in Gainesville, Florida. Actually, when I first came to the Gainesville area, when I first came to the Gainesville area to reside in 1992, we had one child, Sita, and Abhi was on the way. We stayed for a month with Bob Cohen and his wife Bhakti, Brahmatirtha Bhakti Cohen. Bob Cohen, he's a graduate, Sappho Advanced Seminar, and he's inspired many people to take Sappho courses, actually. And so he asked questions, and Prabhupada was so enlivened that he told his secretary, Shyama-Sundar, yeah, make a book out of that. Make a book out of that. And the book became known as Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. So just as Prabhupada was enlivened, Shukadev Goswami is in ecstasy to hear these questions from Maharaj Parikshit. And right at the beginning of Bhagavatam, well, the first chapter of Bhagavatam, there's 335 chapters in Srimad Bhagavatam. The first chapter is entitled Questions by the Sages. So after some invocation verses by Srila Vyasadeva, starting with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, then the sages ask a series of questions. And in the second chapter of the first canto, Sutta Goswami, first he invokes the presence of his guru, Shukadeva Goswami. Then he begins answering the questions. And one of the first verses there is Munayasava Prishtoham Bhagavad Lokamandalam Krita Krishna Samprashno Yenatma Suprasidati. He says, Oh sages, I've been justly questioned by you. Your questions are glorious because they relate to Lord Krishna, and therefore these questions are for the benefit of the whole world, of everyone. And then right at the very first verse of the second canto, that's what Shukadeva Goswami appears on the banks of the Ganges right at the end of the first canto. Maharaj Parikshit asks him questions, and the second canto begins with Shukadeva Goswami responding. And that goes essentially for practically 11 cantos. And Shukadeva starts by saying, your questions are giving me such ecstasy. And then we go into Brahma's such joy to hear the questions related to Bhagavatam and Krishna from his son and disciple Narada in the third canto. Uddhava feels so fortunate to get to speak about Krishna in response to Vidura's questions, and Maitreya similarly. So this is a theme. And we can look at like how eager are we? How eager are we to, because everyone's asking questions, Prabhupada will say. The birds, the bees, the animals, the trees, everyone's asking questions. We can say, what sort of questions are the animals and the trees asking? Always asking questions. Where is a mate? Where's food? Where's that drop of water? Where's sunlight? Where's shelter? Where's a place to sleep? So the questions always revolve around eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And to the extent that, and so we're also always asking questions. And we can look to the extent that our questions resolve only around eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, perhaps in glorified form, like to eat fancy food in a restaurant, to mate in a fancy house, to defend with clever defense mechanisms or with thermonuclear devices. But the essential activity is the same as the tiger with its claws or the dog having sex on the street or like that. So then we're just Dvipadapashu, we're two-legged animals. So in the human form of life, we have the opportunity to ask questions about who am I? What's the purpose of my life? What happens after the death of the body? What's the nature of the Supreme? Is there a God? Other species don't get to ask these questions. So we can look at how eager are we to arrange our life to sincerely ask and respond to such questions. That eagerness is a sign of progress in Krishna consciousness and spiritual life. Would anyone like to share any inspirations, realizations, ask any questions?
So when do the questions stop? Do they stop ever?
No.
No.
No, I mean, see now, the question, like here, like if we look at Maharaj Parikshit, here in the 10th canto, he like this question about like, well, how could that happen? But the questions, they're not really like of the quality of like a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows, like Shukadeva Goswami, Shukadeva Goswami is going to answer this brilliantly. Okay, whereas like at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna had doubts. Of course, Arjuna is Maharaj Parikshit's grandfather, he's playing a role. So my understanding is the questions never end. And it's infinite, because growth is infinite. But sure, the questions can become less and less from my modes of nature, my modes of tamas and rajas, and
challenging,
wanting to avoid and offend, and become more and more enthusiastic and submissive. But then, even in the completely pure platform, right? The Goswamis are asking, where is Krishna? Radhe Vrajadevi Chalalite Nanda Kunos Sunokuta Shri Govardhana Kalpapada Patale Kalindi Vanekuta Gosanta Viti Sargato Vrajapure Kete Mahabhivana Bandevu Pasanatana Ako Yoga Shri Jiva Gopalaka Andevu Pasanatana Pragu Yoga Shri Jiva Gopalaka. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan they were around the groves on the banks of the Yamuna on Govardhan Hill at Bamsivat, asking, where is the Queen of Vrindavan? Where is Lalita Gopi? Where is the son of Nanda Maharaj? Where have they gone? Asking questions. Prabhupada quotes that verse a lot from Srinivasacharya to illustrate that the Goswamis, they weren't saying like, I was with Krishna last night, like that. No, it's that mood of separation. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? So even or also, in one sense, as we get more and more pure, then questions really begin. Yeah, how can I serve Prabhupada better? It's a question. It's a question we should always be asking, also in the pure state. How can I refine my service? Yes. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm really appreciating how Maharaj Parikshit is 10 cantos in and still so full of humility. I mean, he's just, we're like deep in the Srimad Bhagavatam at this point, and he's just the picture of modesty and humility. And it's interesting to me because he has such an intimate relationship and pastime with Krishna, and he wasn't a perfect person. I mean, yes, in one sense, you know, he was following Krishna's plan perfectly, but he wasn't like a model of perfection. You know, he fell down. He had a moment where he wanted to rule over the Brahmins, as you put it. And that, it gives me a lot of hope and faith to continue in this process. And I really appreciate his level of humility. It seems like to be the lowest of anything is pretty awesome.
Now, thanks for sharing that. I'm very moved by how you're moved by the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit. Yes. Yeah. He was the emperor of the whole world. And he was a pure devotee from Krishna from the beginning, and he did make that. He was, in one sense, he was inspired by Super Soul to make that mistake of garlanding the Brahmin with a dead snake and like that. And that of course set up the whole conversation with Shukadeva Goswami, just as Arjuna's kind of sentimentality led to the sublime thesis, the philosophical thesis of Bhagavad Gita. So yeah, we are in the 10th canto here, and he's so enthusiastic and so humble. And keep in mind, from the beginning, he's fasting from food and water from the beginning. So I don't know, maybe we're 5.5 days into it, and he's fasting from food and water, and he's just hearing Bhagavatam, and he's just getting more and more, he's relishing it more and more, and more enthusiastic, and he just wants, tell me more. And yes, with just this supreme, sublime humility. Yes, just knowing that that's his role, to hear Bhagavatam, completely surrendered to it. And sometimes in the process, he's humbly posing questions to his guru, Shukadeva Goswami. Thanks for your inspiration about Maharaj Parikshit. Hare Krishna. Any other comments, questions, sharing? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.